And what we're going to be talking about now is how to do an effective planning. How to effectively plan a new distributor to get them up and running really quickly. How many of you are excited about that? Now, you see now in front of you, all of you have got a copy of a planning manual. This is a planning system that we've been using in our QLS group for 3 or 4 years now. And it's a program that's been evolved over those years to help our team duplicate the message strongly and consistently. So this document is now open to the whole of Forever Living. So what I'm going to do is give you an overview of how to use this planning system. Okay? The only way to become familiar with it is to go and use it yourselves. Is to get together with your leaders, maybe do some team sizzles, and maybe become familiar with it. Because remember, we've been using this for a long, long time. So, how does it work? You'll notice that the very first page, in this manual, are a planning meeting preparation list. And the second list on the back, okay, is your who do you know list. Now, if you have a guest to the BP, or you've taken someone to a home meeting, or whatever, you've got to the stage where somebody's ready to get happily involved in your business, you need to get them prepared for the next stage. And the next stage of building a business is quite simply planning activity. If we're not planning activity, if we're not taking our new distributor by the hand, then actually we're behaving in an irresponsible way. We have a responsibility to give our new distributors the very, very best shot that we possibly can. So if I've got a brand new distributor, they're at a business presentation. At the end of the evening, I will simply say to them, I'll simply say, Jan, now you can see how by working closely with me, under the umbrella of this amazing company, how you can retire from work and spend more time with the family, can't you? That's what I say at the end of a meeting. Not what do you think? Because if there's been one thing they didn't like, if you ask them what do you think, that's exactly what they're going to focus on. So it'd be, Adam, now you can see by working closely with me, under the umbrella of this amazing company, how you can educate your children privately, can't you? Okay. And so really you're getting a confirmation, that people see Forever as the vehicle. Now once they've answered that positively, you quite simply say, are you ready to get the paperwork out of the way? And they will. If you assume that they're ready, they will be ready. And then you will say, this is what happens next. We need to get together as quickly as possible to begin to plan your business to enable you to have the things that are important to you. Is that fair? And what you're looking for is that agreement. People will be led by you, but if you're not leading them, I promise you, you won't get that urgency and that speed in the business. Don't leave someone to go home and don't contact them for a week. You're looking to have interaction very quickly. So if I've got my new distributor, Jan, and she's really excited now, I will say, I'll have my diary, I will open my diary, and I want a sooner diary entry. Okay? So literally 24 to 48 hours, if I possibly can, I want to sit down with her and have an hour to an hour and a half to do the first part of planning her future. So if we just agreed today that she wants to do the business, then I'm going to quite simply say, I've got some time on Monday afternoon or Tuesday evening, which one suits you best? I'll always give her 2 times and days. Which one suits you best? She may say, well, Monday afternoon is absolutely wonderful, we confirm a time, and I will say to her, in preparation for that meeting, could you please give a little bit of thought to what it is that you would like to achieve in Forever, and when would you like to achieve it by? Maybe give some thought, Jan, to the amount of time you want to commit to the business. You know, I know you want to retire from work so you can be with the family. Give me some idea of what that's going to cost in monetary value. Make a few notes and points and ideas on that for me if you can. And what we're looking to do is really identify what we're going to be doing in the next 6 months, 12 months together. Is that okay? And in order for us to make the planning meeting even more effective, I'd like you to give a little bit of consideration to the people you'd like to start sharing the business and the products with. And so I give her the planning meeting preparation sheet with the date of our first planning meeting on the front, and I give her 1 page of who do you know list. Now the reason I give her 1 page of who do you know list is because I would like her to come back to the very, very first planning meeting prepared for us to take some action. And what normally happens is a new distributor will come back to you for their first meeting, and on average they've probably written between 15 and 30 names down. On average, I'd say on average maybe 15, yeah, about 15 to 30 names. All right, now here's what I don't do. I don't say, go and do 100 names. Because she doesn't know why she needs to do that, and I don't want to frighten her too early by asking her to do things that she has no idea as to why she should be doing them. All I'm asking her to do is to give some thought to what it is she wants, how much time, and to start thinking about the people she'd like to share the business and the products with. Now that's going to make my first planning meeting a lot easier if I've got some guidelines in which I can work towards to help her become successful. Does that make sense? Okay. So, we meet up on Monday afternoon, and we've agreed the time that we're going to meet. Now, one of the things that I really strongly believe in when I'm doing a planning meeting is that we have got to be prepared when we go to that meeting. So what I do is I then take the planning system in a folder like this. Okay, so I've got the planning meeting, the rest of the planning manual is in a folder, minus the 2 front pages because she's already had them. And I also have with me an A4 notebook. These are the only 2 bits of documentation I ever use when I'm planning somebody's business. Once I've gone through the first 4 weeks with them, this is the only piece of literature I use alongside the pipeline and the contact list to help build their business. That's how simple it is when you understand the process. Now, what we're going to do on the day that I arrive at the meeting, I arrive there at 4 o'clock. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to have a few minutes chat, catch up. I'm going to look at my watch and I'm going to say, right, the time is 4:10. We need about an hour and a half. Is 5:30 going to be a good time for you to finish this meeting? And I always get confirmation of when we should finish the meeting. The reason being, here's where you have to be careful when you're planning a business. You will have some distributors who will ask you hundreds of questions. That's good. And you'll have some distributors that will ask you nothing. That's okay as well. But what it means is, if you've got someone asking you a lot of questions, very often you might not get through the first planning session. And what I then see is people extending the first planning session into 4-hour marathons. And I'd rather you didn't do that. I'd rather you answer their questions, because there's nothing more liberating than an inquiring mind, rather than try and fit everything in just because it's written on these sheets. Every distributor is slightly different. Be sensible, be intelligent about it. However, for 90% of the time, when we're working with distributors, you'll get through the first part of the first planning session 1, in that hour and a half that you've allowed. And here's now what we're going to do. The first thing I'm going to ask her now is I'm going to take out the planning manual, I'm going to give it to her. So she has a copy in front of her. And I now am going to use my notebook alongside the planning meeting to record pretty much everything I need to make sure I'm on target with her to meeting her needs. Planning session 1 is very simple. All we're covering is the needs and the whys of the new distributor. We're explaining the power of the Fast Start Pack. And I am aware that this will change a little bit with the new NDP. We're ready for that. We're going to book some launches. We're going to review the business building cycle. And we're going to plan the first week's activity. In other words, we're going to have a 7-day plan of activity that needs to happen in order for her to start moving towards her goals. So the first thing I focus on is the why. And in doing that, we're going to use 2 sheets. The first one is going to be looking at her personal goals, her business goals, and her family goals. Now, she will have already given some consideration to this, but for most people, goal setting has never been something that has been part of their life. For most people, they've never goal set in their lives before. I was one of them. You know, I was the kind of person that said, I don't need to write anything down, it's in my head. Well, you know, that's the worst attitude to have, because the subconscious cannot focus on something that isn't specific. And so I spend quite a bit of time with a new distributor in this area. And I spend quite a bit of time because it's very hard to plan a business and expectations if I don't know what she wants. You see, I might be planning for her £200 a month when she wants £20,000 a month. Or equally, I might be planning £20,000 a month when all she wants is £200 a month. So take the time to really find out what's important to them. And what I do is I just ask questions. Now, if Jana's come prepared, she will have made a few notes about what's important to her. And we're going to embellish those notes, and we're going to fill out and write together on this sheet some of the areas that are important in her life. And the first area I focus on are her personal why, her personal goals and dreams. And I will always enter into this part of the planning process by reassuring them that if they've never done goal setting in their life before, that's okay. Because when I first joined the business, I had no idea how to really identify what was important to me, because I compromised my dreams based on what I was earning in my job. And all you're doing is gently opening their mind to the fact they can have things, they can be somebody, they can go places. So just take some time. And I would just say, you know, Jan, I want you to just think about something. Put the children to one side, put the hubby to one side, put the family all to one side. What would you like to achieve personally for you over the next 12 months? What's important to you? Now, when you ask a woman this, I'll be honest with you, it's quite difficult for them to break out family and personal. Because for most women, they are so used to putting the family first. I'm not saying that men aren't, but it's more of a female psyche thing. So we just start chatting. And we just go places together. So whatever she may say to me, I'll ask her questions. So what is it that you'd like to achieve personally?
The answer that I gave was eradicate budget from mind.
So you didn't want to live a budget life anymore. Now, it's how do you respond to that? So I would write in there, not a budget life. And then I would ask her what that means. Because there has to be a monetary value in her mind that when she's making a certain amount of money, she no longer has a budget mentality. So I would probably say, and does that have a monetary value associated to it?
shop, I can buy it.
So you're looking for financial freedom. Is that important to you? And if you're looking for financial freedom, is there some idea of what you'd like to be making on a monthly basis that would give you that financial freedom?
I need to replace the job that I've just left.
And how much would that be? Because you're looking for a couple of thousand a month initially. Okay, I always get lots of nodding from them. And what I would then say, if you had that 2,000 a month coming in every single month, and it freed the time that you used to commit to a job, what would you be spending the money on? So my point is, you're asking questions because you want them to connect with the things that are important to them. And I just start we start writing things down. Now I write it in my notebook, she's writing it in her sheet. So everything she writes down, I write in my book. Now, occasionally you have to encourage them. You need to write that down, Jan. You need to put that in writing, Jan. Just make a note of that. Do it gently. Do it with caring. Care about them. Because I promise you, if you start going direct into them like a heavy-hitting salesperson, they're going to clam up. So you want to make £2,000 a month? Well, if you want to make £2,000 a month, what's it going to give to you? You've got to be soft. You've got to be gentle with people. They've never done this before in most cases. But more importantly, you've got to get them believing they can do it. Then I will say, tell me a little bit about what you'd like to achieve for the family. Now, if there isn't a family, I would say, what would you like to achieve for your boyfriend, girlfriend? If they haven't got kids yet, for their wife, their husband. It could be that they have brothers and sisters. It could be this is not a relevant part of their life, but until you ask, you don't know. And then once you've done that, you say, okay, what we really need to do now is we need to identify what is really the most important driving goal that you have right now. Now, you've probably got a list, maybe of about 10, 15 things that they want. And I always say, if we could just circle a couple of those that are the most exciting things that you want right now, the things that you're prepared to work really hard for, Jan, the things that you're going to stay up an hour later at night for, get up an hour earlier in the morning for, what would they be? And we're going to circle them. And we're going to circle them and circle them and circle them. So we identify the dominant need, and we're going to circle it. And what I do now is normally that dominant need will have a monetary value associated to it. Normally it will have a monetary value associated to it. And what's really interesting, on average, for a new distributor, their first goals range between 1,000 and 3,000. And most people are aware of that. And maybe when you're asking people, you probably are familiar with that already. So we've identified that she needs 2,000 a month. We know what she wants it for. We've got the emotional connection, which is what's going to drive this business forward, and she's excited. Now, what I do now is I say, let me show you the marketing model. Let me refresh the marketing model to you so you can see what you need to build by way of a business to give you that £2,000 a month. Now, in the back of your manual, there is a reference section. Half of this manual is reference section. You don't need to go through it all with people. Let's assume some level of intelligence. Most of them can go and look at this and read this at their own leisure. But half of this is reference. And if you go to there is a page in here which will show the marketing plan. Okay? And all you do is you take the marketing plan from the reference section. You've all seen the marketing plan at the BP. You all know at each level what each level will pay you in monetary terms. And all you're doing is linking a position on the plan to the amount of money that your new distributor wants to make. Now, Jan has quite clearly said to me she'd like to make £2,000 a month, and I'm going to draw for her the marketing plan right the way from assistant supervisor up to senior manager. That's where I'm going. And I'm going to tell her, as a supervisor, you're going to make £200 or £300 a month. As an assistant manager, £600 or £700 a month. As a manager, £1,200 to £1,500 a month plus. And as a senior manager, you'll be knocking on the door and surpassing that £2,000 a month you're looking for. So I want her to visually see the model that she has to build in order to achieve her dreams. Because if you've got a dream here and you've got a marketing model here, she can't focus on both if they're out there, can she? She can only focus on both if you bring them together. Does that make sense? You've got to bring the marketing model and the goal together. And I'll tell you something now what's really interesting. If you ask anybody in this room who went to a position on the marketing plan quickly why they did it, it's because they had a deep down burning desire and they knew what position they need to be at. When we went to manager, what did we do? 14 weeks? I know Jeff Firth, you did it really quickly in the early days. I know Paul Brown did. I'm talking way back when we all joined. We went from a standing start to manager in a small amount of time. You know why we did? Because we knew that manager was 48% and we knew what our drive was and we brought them together. And we were broke. We had a need. But listen, everybody in this room has a need, right? Otherwise you wouldn't be here. Isn't that right? We have a responsibility to meet that need and show people how to build a business quickly. We have a responsibility. So once I've connected her with her need, her desire, to a position on the marketing plan, I quite simply ask her a question. I just say, so if I'm hearing you right, Jan, what you're saying to me is you want £2,000 a month where you can leave the day job, be at home, not worry about money, buy stuff when you want it, treat the kids when you want to, and live a really nice life. Is that what I'm hearing you say to me? And I've just shown you on the marketing model that in order to achieve that, we need to get you to manager and senior manager. Do you understand that? So, by working very, very closely with me and following the system that I'm going to show you right now, are you ready to go to work to make that happen? And I don't say a single thing then, I just look at her. And that's why she went supervisor in 5 weeks. And then manager very quickly after. Because the reality is, all I want is confirmation that she's ready to go to work. Because then, here's the difference. I've been very direct in what I expect from her. Are you ready to match your needs to the marketing plan, go to work with me and make it happen? She says yes. Her expectations are high. She believes in me. She can feel my energy, my passion. She puts her trust in me. Let's go to work. Or you can do this. Well, I'm really excited for you. Really excited. So when you're ready, well, we've got a few things that we've got to cover here, but when you're ready, well, we're going to get you there soon. I know we'll get there soon. Listen, you laugh. I've heard people do it. I was in London the other week at one of our BPs, and I was overhearing, she didn't know I was watching her, I was overhearing one of our team doing a planning meeting. I was horrified. There was no energy, no expectation, no desire there. It was just drone. You've got to get people believing that forever is going to give them what they want. You've got to get people believing that you can take them there. Now, each and every one of you have achieved to be in this room today, so we know you can do it. So don't doubt your own abilities to be able to sit down in front of somebody and say, I will show you. Don't doubt that. Never doubt it. Now, up until this moment, we've talked quite a lot about the marketing model. We've talked quite a lot about the need to put people into the program. She's already seen that with the journey through to manager and beyond. What we need to do now is talk about underpinning it with the movement of product and get some productivity in place while we start looking for those distributors. And what we do now is we quite simply say, all of this starts with two things, Jan. It starts with you recruiting your first 3 to 5 distributors, and it starts with you understanding the power of the products. The next part of this planning is to explain to you the power of your Fast Start box. And what I do now is I get the Fast Start box, and all I do is ask her a few simple questions. Now, can I just tell you, when I do explain the products, I do not take an hour. When I explain the Fast Start box, I have it done and dusted in about 10 minutes. It's important, but not as important as identifying the first 3 people to join the business. So it is important, but I'm not going to spend hours and hours on it, because remember, I've only got an hour and a half. The point I'm making here is, yes, it's important about product, but don't waste your hour and a half on it. Sounds as if I don't care for the products. I do, but there's a place for them. So what I do now is I quite simply take the Fast Start box, and I am doing a 10-minute mini training to open her mind on the power of the product. Now, she's already been to a BP, so she's heard a bit about the product, so she doesn't need me to completely go over the board. But all I'm doing is I'm asking her 2 questions. I'm asking her, which products would you use personally as a family? And who do you know right now who could benefit from those products? That's all I'm asking her. So I'm quickly going through them and I'm sharing the benefits. That's all I'm doing. And as they come out of the box, that's the order I'm going to talk. So normally, as the propolis cream comes out first, I will literally do 30 seconds on the propolis cream and I'll share my story. And I'll say, who do you know? Who do you know, Jan, right now that might benefit from the propolis cream? Do you know anybody who's got kids with eczema? Do you know anybody with dry skin? Do you know any farmers? Do you know? And I'll just get her thinking and writing some names down. Do you know anybody in the family that might benefit from that product? Great, write it down. I'm also writing it in my book as well. I'm recording everything in my notebook. I'm great at reading upside down and copying it in my notebook. Talk about the jelly, the tooth gel, all of it. Who do you know? Who do you know? Who do you know? Who do you know? Open their minds. We then talk about the need to develop a good customer base. And we need to develop 20 to 30 regular customers. And the beauty about it is, because I've just done that 10-minute chat on the box, she's already probably got 14, 15, 20 names down. So all I'm saying to her, now can you see how easy it is, how simple it is to think about people that might benefit from these products, Jan? I'm asking her lots of positive affirmation questions all the time. Can you see? Is it clear? Do you understand? Does that make sense? Because the more they're doing this, the more they're opening up to the information you're giving them. So involve them, get them participating in the process. Don't just be telling them, be involving them. This is where we open the diary and get a couple of product launches booked. Now we're going to do a couple of product launches ASAP. And I don't want to wait 2 or 3 weeks to do those launches. I want them in the diary as quickly as possible. So those get booked into the diary. We talk a little bit, maybe 5 minutes, on how to invite, how to get the numbers there, the power of the launch, what the launch is for. The launch is not just to sell products. The launch is there to coach her and train her on how to share the products with other people. The launch is there to develop some customers and get a return on her investment. The launch is there because we're also looking to recruit people from a launch. Just ask a question, how many people in the room join Forever as a result of going to a product launch? If you did, will you stand up, please? Oh, look, some of our leading distributors. Wow. Okay, so the point being is, you've got to open their minds. Most people think party plan. It's not party plan, it's business building. So talk to her in that way. Tell her what to expect and why it's a powerful way to market products and to get in front of people. Get her excited about it. Because most people, their perception is party plan. And most people don't like that. So tell them why we're doing a launch. Then what we do is we talk about the pup boxes. And we talk about the need to have a couple of pup boxes, a brand new distributor, the need to invest in 2 to 4 pup boxes. And I'll always have a pup box with me so I can show her what one of those is. And basically what I do is we talk about how we're going to use pup boxes throughout the month to generate volume. And all I say is when you're inviting people to your launch, there will be people, Jan, that can't make your launch. They're busy, they've already got another commitment, but obviously you want to get the products in front of them. Now, I don't need to do product launch training. Gilles did that perfectly this morning. So all I say, here's the pup box. This is why you need them. This is what you can expect from them. You need to be getting these out as well. I don't do a huge training on it at the first meeting. I'm just opening her mind to the fact that pup boxes are a great alternative. Right, do you think everyone can do that? Really, really simple? Now that process has probably taken me, from start to that point, probably taken me about 45, 50 minutes. Going through the why, the marketing plan, the agreement, the products, booking the launches, talking about a pup, 45 to 50 minutes. Well, I've got 30 minutes, 40 minutes left. What am I going to do? Well, here's where you can get the most phenomenal start to your new distributor's first week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks in the business. This is where you begin now to open their mind to the possibility of recruiting. I'm going to just recap now very quickly and say to Jan, I say we've got the product, we've got the launches booked, we've got the pups booked. What we need to do now, Jan, is we need to start finding and using the business system to find the people that are going to start underpinning the business model that we're looking to build. And we do that by using a very, very simple business building process. And all you do is you show the cycle. Now, the way I use the cycle is I actually talk Jan through it backwards. I actually say to her, you and I are right now sitting in what we call an action, a planning and activity meeting. But if you remember rightly, Jan, on Thursday night, we were at the BP in Oxford. Do you remember that? And actually, you came to the business presentation as a result of you and I having a one-to-one. And I move up to the quadrant on the other side. And you came to the one-to-one because you were actually on my who do you know list. You were on the first people I wanted to talk to about the business. So the business cycle is very simple, very enjoyable, great fun, and you've already been through it. How do you feel about it? Now, that's what you want to happen. It's really important you ask your new distributor how they feel about the business cycle. Because if they've been through it themselves and it's been a great experience, here's what they're going to be. They're going to be open to talking to people and putting them into the process. And so all I do here is I just reinforce that this is the business building cycle that has taken the UK to where it is today in the marketplace, that has built dynamic businesses for people all over the UK, all over the world. But more importantly, Jan, this is the cycle that's going to give you that £2,000 a month you're looking for to be able to leave your job and be at home to spend time with the children. You will notice I'll link back to that quite a lot. Okay? And what I do now is I actually now make a note of her nearest meeting to her, and I will write it in the box below. So I will say your nearest meeting is in Oxford on a Tuesday evening. It's at the Pear Tree Hotel. It's 7:30 for an 8 o'clock start. And the successful distributors are always at these meetings. They never ever miss a meeting. They know the importance of attending every single week. Now that's really, it's a very interesting point because I know a lot of distributors are actually quite scared for some reason to actually suggest that somebody might go to a meeting every single week. How many of you have always felt a bit strange asking someone to go to a meeting every week? Yeah? Well, I know there must be more than that because I know that there are people in this room that don't go to meetings every single week. The reality is, if you want to build a big business, you need to be going to a meeting somewhere every single week. So I talked to Jan about the need to be at the meeting and what it's going to do for her. The people she's going to meet, the fun she's going to have, the business she's going to build, the information that she's going to take on board and learn, the person she's going to become. And I tell her that I still go to a meeting every single week. I am leading by example. So I then get her diary open, commit the meeting date to her diary. She's got it in her diary now, and she knows what's expected of her. Because the reality is, I have a responsibility to help her build a £2,000 a month income. Can I do that if I say to her, well, you don't really need to be at a meeting? Just, if you want to go, go, and if you don't, don't. Listen, you may well laugh, but I see this all the time. Well, if you haven't got a guest, you don't need... No, you don't need to come tonight. Yes, you do need to be there. Leading by example. Now, once we've done that and we've talked about the business building cycle and we've reconnected the cycle to her why, we're now going to get down to the nitty-gritty, the exciting part, I believe, of planning the first week's activity. Because actually planning the activity and looking at who is going to join the business, I find this the most exciting part. And all we're going to be doing now is we're going to be saying, in order to start the process, to find your first key people, Jan, your board of directors, the people who are like you, who want something out of life but maybe aren't getting it right now, we need to start looking at finding your first 3 people. Now, here's the thing. If I'm running out of time, then part of my 7-day plan, which is it's actually on the back of this sheet in here, part of my 7-day plan will be preparing for the next day, the next meeting, whereby we're going to start making some contacts together. But if I've still got a little bit of time, here's what I do. I say, okay, Jan, what we're looking for is we're looking to find your first 3 key people. I'll explain what I mean by key. A key person is someone who has a desire, is prepared to take some action, okay, and is open-minded to looking at this business. And what I do now is I ask her, I say, did you give any thought to who you might like to share the business with? And she will normally have, on the first sheet I gave her, she will normally have written down maybe 15, 20, 30 names. And she will give it to you excitedly. Now, however many names are on that sheet, give her lots of praise and recognition. I don't care if there's only 4 or 5 on that list, at least she's already given some thought. And here's the thing, even if there's only 5, one of them could be a diamond manager. We don't know. But on average, 15, 20. So anyway, we've got her list, and all I say to her is, she's got the page there in her manual, and I draw that in my notebook. So I draw her and 3 circles in my notebook. That's what I do. And I just say, of this list of people, who are the first 3 people you'd really love to show this business to? Now, at this stage, I'm not going through qualifying. I'm not going through a huge process. I'm just saying, tell me who you'd like to share the business to. I'm keeping it really, really simple at this stage. Don't want to confuse it. All we're taught her to do so far is use a bit, get ready to retail a bit, and now we're saying, who would you like to share the business with? And she gives me 3 names. She gives me the name Philippa. So I write the name Philippa in one of those circles. In pencil. I always write it in pencil. I write Philippa. And in one of my circles, I write Philippa. And I say, Jan, tell me about Philippa. You're obviously excited about her. Tell me about her. Now, in my notebook, I'm going to write down everything that she tells me about Philippa. Everything. Where does she live? Is she married? What does she do for a living? How do you know her? What's she like? Is she outgoing? Is she bubbly? Is she fun? Does she already have her own business? Does she work in a job? Tell me a bit about her. And when she's given me that little bit of info, I just say, this sounds like an amazing prospect. Who else would you like to talk to? And she gives me 3 names, and we put those 3 names in the circles, in her planner, in pencil, and also I've made a note in my book. Now, if we've got the time, what we're going to do right now, so what I do, is we're going to phone those 3 people immediately. There and then. Remember, I did say the meeting had to finish 5:30. But if I've got 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 7 minutes, we're going to make a couple of phone calls. Now here's the thing. She's excited right now. She's bought into this whole concept of wanting to get the money so she can leave work. She's got an emotional link to it. She's agreed to me that she'll do whatever it takes to get there. She's hot at the moment. Why would I leave her for a week before starting to talk to people? Because it's my job, my responsibility to help her get her first few people in the team. Now here's the thing. I can either wait for her to be a bit like Margaret, but on the other side to be someone who's got to learn every conversation, be a comfortable prospector, know the answer to every question. Or I can just say, why don't we call them right now? Why don't we call them together right now? Now, I can't do a training now. I've only got 5 minutes left on this slide. I can't do a training on everything I'd say. But if she was going to phone Philip, I'd say, look, why don't you give Philly a call? Are you happy talking to her? Are you comfortable in maybe telling her what you're involved in? Yeah? Okay, or would you want me to help you with it? What do you think? You'd maybe like me to help you? Or do you think you could do it yourself? You can have a go yourself. Okay. And all I say is, here's what I want you to tell her. I just want you to say to her, hi Philly, how you doing? How's the kids? How's Robert? Look, it's a quick phone call. I'm really, really excited. I've just got involved in a very exciting new business associated to a dynamic company, 30 years in the marketplace, phenomenal growth, amazing range of products. And I'm sitting here with a business colleague today, and she'd asked me, who do I know who's outgoing, bubbly, good with people? And I thought of you, Philly. Can I show you what I'm doing? Can you do that, Jan? Okay, let's have a go. Now, if she starts asking you questions and you can't answer them, why don't you just pass the phone to me and I'll answer for you? Is that okay? Now, I know there's a lot of you in the room going, no way. No way am I making a phone call with a new distributor. How many of you are thinking that? Be honest. Okay? You have to get over that one. You've got to help them. Because here's the deal. If you don't... I'm going to say something now. My sponsor didn't do a lot of work with me in the early days. He lived a good 4 hours away. We didn't meet up very often. But I will never, ever forget the one phone session he had with me. You see, I was terrified to make phone calls. But because he helped me, and together we made 3 or 4 phone... Well, we actually made 5 phone calls together. I never, ever looked back. Now, I often ask myself, I wonder what I would have done if I'd made all those phone calls by myself and had to handle the rejection by myself, or couldn't answer the questions I was being asked. Now, I can only talk from experience. You don't have to do this if you don't want to. If you don't feel it's right to make a phone call with your new distributor, then that's entirely up to you. But I will help my new distributor make some calls. I won't do them all for them, but I'll be there to help. I'll give them an idea of what to say. If they get rejection, I'm there to say, never mind, you did a brilliant job, well done, I'm proud of you. That's what she wants to hear. She doesn't want to go home with just a list of scripts being told make 10 phone calls and to handle all the challenges she might have by herself. You see, the average leader will leave their people to struggle through that by themselves. And the above average leader will say, let me show you. Let me show you. If we make 2 or 3 phone calls together and every one of them is a no, beauty about it is I'm there to help her. And I say, you know what, you did an awesome job, you should be proud of yourself. Now here's the homework. What I want you to do now, between now and our next planning meeting, I would like you to make a list of the next 20 people we're going to call, and I want you to profile them. Now, in the back of the planning manual, there are what we call profile sheets, which are sheets where you quite simply write down a little bit of information about the person you want to prospect. Page 11, you'll see the profile form. So, over the next 7 days, what I want Jan to do is to complete her who do you know list, to start working on it, to profile a whole load of new people. I want you to book your trainings. I want you to look to make sure that you've booked your trainings. I want you to go onto the Forever Knowledge website. I want you to register with our website, and a lot of you have got your own websites to register on. I want you to make sure that you get your invites and get your launches, people invited to your launches. So basically, in our first planning meeting, we have got 2 launches booked. We've agreed the why. We've linked the why to the marketing plan. We've gone through the business cycle. And we've already possibly made 2 or 3 phone calls and possibly got a couple of people looking at the business. Now, do you think that's a good first planning meeting? Do you think that speeds the whole process up? Yeah? Okay. Recently, she won't mind me telling you, she got a bit stuck in her business.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
And this is a star in the making. This is one of our emerging leaders. But we all get stuck occasionally. She's got a great team beneath her. But there was just something missing, right?
Yes.
Just something was not happening. And we sat down together and we identified an area that Jeanette wasn't focusing on. And that area was that you weren't helping your distributors become comfortable on the phone.
No, I wasn't.
Would you like to share what's happened since you've done that?
I think I met you 3 weeks ago. We had a planning 3 weeks ago. We looked at where I was, and I actually thought my business was worse than it actually is, but Jane reassured me that it's a bubbling manager business. She just said you've just got to look deeper than top level and get comfortable with everybody underneath and actually go back to your whys. Go back to everything else, go and lock them into their emotions. Because I was definitely locked in my emotions, but I wasn't delivering that. I did that. The last 2 weeks I've worked manically. Did about 10 why meetings. We've had 2 telethons. Jane encouraged me to have a couple of weekend telethons where we got the team together and we just had some fun. Just made some phone calls together. As a result, last week I put 4 people into the business. And this week, one of the people who went into the business last week has got his first person and 3 more people. So in
Yay!
So in 2 weeks, we've got 17 members. We've got 2 people wanting supervisor, ASAP, a bubbling assistant manager, a manager.
Now, I didn't ask her to come. She had no idea I was going to ask her to come up.
No.
But the difference has been in helping people make the calls, linking them to their why, and having higher expectations quicker for them.
Yeah, and not being scared. And I think it is taking that scaredness away. You just do it for them, and then actually they thank me for doing it.
And now they're comfortable having to go by themselves.
The results say it all.
The results say it all. Give her a big round of applause. Now, Jeanette isn't a manager yet, but she will be because she's having a go at doing the simple things. And what do? We use the products, we share the business. We have to help people share the business while they're learning. So there's our first week planned with the new planning system. Do you think you can all do that? If you feel that in the past you've maybe not given your distributor the best start, pick up the phone and say, Gary, can I just apologise to you? Why? Well, you know something? When I first sponsored you, I kind of didn't get the system right with you, and I feel I did you and it a disservice. But you know, I've learnt so much in the last few weeks, and I know you could be amazing at the business. Can I come and show you what to do? Don't be scared to go back to people. Don't ever be scared. What's he going to say? Yes or no? And if he's not doing anything at the moment anyway, who cares if he says no? But if he's ready to get going, then you might have a yes. Okay, so we've gone through the first 7 days. Their homework has been to continue developing their list of people. It quite simply says in the first 7 days, their homework, their tasks, I always call it homework, is to continue using the products in the Fast Start Pack, to work at inviting people to their launches, to be continually recommending products, to complete their 100-name list using the memory jogger in the reference section, and to be a good student and watch the DVDs and listen to the CDs that are in their box, to book their Success Day ticket, and to go onto the Forever Knowledge site and complete their online training. That's their homework. Now, planning session 2 is literally now going to be, when you get to planning session 2, it's a very simple process from now on in. Planning session 2 is quite simply reviewing week 1. And in reviewing week 1, all you're going to do is make sure that they have got everybody invited to their launch. You may have already had their first launch, in which case review the launch. Show them how to develop their customer care sheets, which are in the reference section. You might review that they've done their Who Do You Know list. You might review now that they've done some of their first prospects. And now what you're going to do, you're quite simply going to spend this next session here on prospecting together. You're now going to go through the people they're going to speak to in the next 7 days. But if you're anything like Jeanette, in the 7 days just gone, you might have already sponsored somebody into their business for them. And they're so excited that this is now about planning the volume to come through for supervisor. And all you're doing is you're referring back to the circles. Everything refers back to the circles. How are we going to fill those 3 vacancies? Everything refers back to those 3 positions, those 3 key people. Now, if Philip has already joined, what we're doing now is looking for the next 2. We've probably already got a planning meeting in the diary for Philippa. That's part of our review meeting. So this session, for me, this next week, this second week, is all about prospecting. It's all about identifying people on their list, looking to find the people that could be brilliant prospects. You know, how do you think that good people get recruited? It's because leaders like you are working people's contact lists with them fast so you can identify good people. I mean, I could be working on Jan's list with her, and Jan could say to me, oh, I've got a great friend called Chris. Well, I don't know who Chris is. It's just a name on a piece of paper. And all I say is, well, tell me about Chris. So we do the profiling. And it turns out that Chris was with Amway. Now, do you think that's going to be a good person to call? Because she may have already had a bit of experience in networking. So as the leader, I want to drive down into that list and help her find some really good quality people that we're going to talk to together. We're going to go through the examples now of the phone conversations, which are in the reference section. And we're going to show her how to use those phone calls comfortably when I'm not there with her. So every single day, we can now begin to get Jan making 2, 3, 4, 5 phone calls every day comfortably without me being there. So here we are quite simply reviewing the 3 circles, doing the profiling, and we're now going to start working on the pipeline. And the pipeline is quite simply taking a name off a Who Do You Know list, profiling it, and actioning it. In other words, she says, I've got my friend Chris, we do a profile of Chris, we give Chris a call, Chris is really excited to find out more, she wants a DVD, we send her a DVD in the post and we record it. That's it. We make another phone call. She's going to phone Claire up. We give Claire a call. Claire actually says, no, it's not for her. So Claire doesn't go on here because she said, no, it's not for her. It's a no, nothing at all. But we're going to ask for a referral. And then she makes another call. And we get another call, and that person wants a one-to-one. So we confirm the one-to-one and we put it in here. And all we're doing now is building a pipeline of people that want to look at the business. And we're doing it together. I'm getting her comfortable in making the phone calls, sharing the business, bless you, sharing the product and filling a pipeline. That's it. This is the easiest way for me to track any distributor I work with. One of the first questions I say to them is, let's look at your pipeline. And if this pipeline's got no names in it, then I know there's no activity. Each page, each of the 4 planning systems are very simple. It tells you step by step what you need to do. It's very simple. Every time you've done something and you're happy, your new distributor is happy with it, tick the box. When you've got a ticked box, you know that they're comfortable to have a go. If the box isn't ticked, you go back and you help them a little bit more. It took me a while to learn how to be a good prospector. And I'm so glad that I had someone who took the time to help me be a good prospector. And that's what you need to do. So here's what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to become familiar with this planning process. I'd like you to buddy up with somebody in your team and do a trial run on each other. I'd like you to practice with a new distributor. Because the only time you're ever going to learn is when you're out of your comfort zone and doing something that you may not be familiar with, but you know is going to move your business forward. This planning system is all we use. I don't use anything else. I use this, my A4 notebook and a diary. That's it. Every single meeting I have with a new distributor, they have their planning process, I have my book, and everything's monitored. It makes life so simple. No scraps of paper, no second guessing, no wondering have they got something or haven't they. It's all in here, ticked, prepared, actioned. Very, very simple. Very, very simple. This process is moving people through the planning process in 6 to 8 weeks through to supervisor. And that's what we expect. When you're sponsoring 3, 4, 5 people a month, out of those people that you sponsored, if you're sponsoring 4 or 5 a month, you'll have at least 1, if not 2, that will go on to supervisor if you work the system with them properly. How many of you would like to be breaking a supervisor every single month? Okay, so raise the expectations. Don't be scared to get in and have a go. Help them make the phone calls. Have a sense of urgency. Keep it really simple. And just do it, and 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 do it, until this becomes like an elevator speech. You can do it if I wake you up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and guess what? You're going to get rich. Who wants to be rich? Then all you've got to do is learn the system. Thank you very much.